Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Welcome, folks, to the WorryFree Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, fiduciary and retirement planning specialist, Tony Walker. And you're in for a real treat as we record this show in late May of 2024, because last week, in case you missed it, obviously you can go to youtube.com. That's youtube.com. Search Tony Walker Financial if you want to watch last week's show, because today we're recording Investments Part 2. And I know this sounds strange. The title of this show is How to Create, not a worry-free retirement, how to create a worrisome retirement. And before you get totally confused and turn off the channel because you think we're trying to intentionally create worry, I'm going to bring back in the studio for a second time my favorite nephew and financial fiduciary. Come on over, Mr. Wes Walker. Good morning again.
Good morning. How's it going?
It's going good. And again, appreciate you putting all this time in. Just to give the audience a little flavor for what we're doing, we're just going to do one show. Then we compiled so much information. Trey, who helps kind of outline some of these shows for us now, he even said, Tony, I don't think y'all are going to have time. So we just kind of backing off and doing two shows. Obviously, we got, Aaron and Derek have got so many clips they're working on and can drop in so many clips for us and doing a great job. So, folks, I hope you like this format. We would appreciate any feedback, but we're trying to keep this more loosey-goosey. One reason I'm doing this, we've had this show on over 500 episodes. I'm trying to introduce more people to you that work at Tony Walker Financial. And besides myself, and not counting Derek and Aaron, because they're technically in a different company, we have 19 full-time employees now at Tony Walker Financial. So I think it's about time that I start telling everybody what all these people do, because, every once in a while it kind of amazes me, the amount of work we can get done, and then people come in to see me, and they don't realize that, hey, I'm basically going to help solve the problems and lay out the plan, but you're going to need all these people. So before we get into the investments part 2 and how to create a worrisome retirement, speak to that a little bit, Wes. You've only been here a little over 4 years. The growth and then the vision we all have of trying to just stay ahead of that growth and make sure this service doesn't slip.
That's what's key. As opposed to other financial firms, I think you see a lot of advisors go out and hire more advisors because they want to bring in more business. They want to have more advisors to meet with more people. But then that same advisor is on a rollover call and then he's doing, 10 other different things. I think our idea is if we can meet with clients and speak with them by phone, be the ones that they talk to, and then have all these service staff in the background working kind of behind the scenes to make all these things that we've put into plans actually transpire, then we're going to be so much more efficient. And you've done a good job hiring that staff to make it possible.
Well, we've been very fortunate. We've had great people come on board. Yeah, Susan, my wife, it's funny. We hired 3 at one time. I've never done 3 staff at one time, but actually it was great. They've all worked out great. But she said, Tony, I just don't understand why you need all this staff. Well, ironically, Susan has some of her accounts, and we had to make some changes. And I kept bringing all this paperwork. And she said, what's this now? She was signing all this stuff. I said, Susan, this is why I need all this staff. You're just one client. We got over 3,000 clients, and look at all the paperwork just for this one transaction we had to do. And she's like, oh, okay, I think I'm understanding.
Yep.
Yeah. So folks, we are here to help. We're not going to leave nor forsake you. And one of my goals is to make sure, come heck or high water, and we're going to get into Charlie Munger here in a minute, come heck or high water, this place is going to stand the test of time. If I get to a point where I can't do this anymore, not retire, but can't do this anymore for physical reasons, or the Lord takes me home, hopefully we got people in place, and I think we're at that point now. We've got Heather that could take over. You and Trey can continue to see people. You're well-versed in the WorryFree Retirement. We've got all this service staff, so I'm really proud of where we are moving into the future and taking care of these clients.
I'd agree, yeah.
And with that said, I read an article the other day, I think 30 to 35% of advisors in the next 10 years will be retired. They're going to be out of the business. So folks, think about this. Retirement planning is not a one-shot deal. You could be working with an advisor 20, 30, 40 years. So hopefully they have plans to try to stay stay in business and not retire before you do.
Oh, yeah. Or even sell out the practice and you're left with somebody who you didn't
right.
start with.
That's right.
Yeah, a firm that doesn't share the same values.
We ought to get into that one day. I get propositioned all the time to sell this business, but it's just, it gets kind of ugly out there, all the people selling business and AUM and how much it's worth. And I'm thinking, there's no regard to the clients. You can tell. This is just a money grab, and I'm going to move over here. I'm going to get this. And it's like, what's the poor client's money? And it's just like they're part of this game of AUM. And I don't know. It's just, it gets kind of ugly if you ask me.
I agree, yeah.
Okay, so in the remaining time, if you're just now joining us, last week we spoke about Charlie Munger, the great personal sidekick of, maybe behind the scenes, one of the main reasons Berkshire Hathaway is so valuable to everyone. But tell us a little bit about his inversion theory real quick and why that led to our topic of how to create a worrisome retirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just in brief terms, he was a weather forecaster during World War II, and he would basically, rather than thinking of how to get pilots back home safely, he would think of how he could most easily kill the pilots and then work backward from there. So the theory is invert the problem, work backward from the worst outcome to the best outcome rather than trying to start with the best outcome. And you just weed out all these things that could be potentially hazardous. So that's our idea with how to have a worrisome retirement is let's think of the things that would be most, kind of problematic to someone who is at or in retirement.
And don't you think that might be part of the problem? Every once in a while, I think people will come here, maybe they're with an advisor, they go back to a competitor who doesn't think like we do, and we almost look like outcasts or what's that Walker fella doing? And I didn't realize that's kind of what we're doing. So I'll use an example. We work with savers. Mm-hmm. You covered this last week, but if you were in the stock market, and that's fine, I guess, in the 401k, and you're getting close to retirement, it's worth a lot of money. But probably what you don't want to do, if you want to create worry, just keep it in the market. If you're a saver, you will worry because that thing eventually will go down. It always goes down. I know it comes back, but we're talking about retirement, folks. If that thing drops 20, 30, or 50% like it did in 08 and you're retired, I think you're going to have a problem.
And I think a lot of financial people think that most people have the same goal. So they don't differentiate between savers, investors, and speculators the way we have. They just see everyone with the same goal of trying to make the most money that they possibly can. And everyone is not built like that. A good quote from Buffett is that if you worry about the stock market on a week-to-week basis, a month-to-month basis, or even a year-to-year basis, you probably shouldn't own common stocks because you're not fit for it mentally. Yeah. So that's where I think we are really pretty well-versed in knowing someone's financial personality, drilling down to if they're a saver, we might not have any money in stocks.
That's right.
Just based on their personality alone. And if they have the asset base to support it, they may not need any money in the stock market. So it's a big deviation from where the financial world typically sits with their mentality of trying to grow at all costs.
Yeah, I've even made the mistake of not emphasizing to prospective clients who come here and we go through the game plan. And I'll say, now we're only going to assume 3% on the market long term. We hope it does better, but that's just an assumption. Because like that, we kind of want to assume worst case scenario.
Oh, yeah.
And then occasionally, I guess they talk to somebody and they're like, well, I don't know if we're going to do business with you or not. Why is that? Well, we can get 8 or 9% over here at Charlie's place. I'm thinking, that's not what we're trying to do here. Maybe we get 8 or 9% too, but let's test the plan out and see if it works at 3%. And then we can back in to whether you even want to take any risk.
And I'd hate to be at the other place promising 8 or 9%. And then, boy, I mean, you catch a year like 2022 or 2008 or 2001. I mean, you catch any of those years, that plan falls apart real quick. So I would say set your assumptions low, and then hopefully you can meet or exceed those, and it ends in a better experience for the client.
This falls into that Will Rogers, expect the worst and you'll never be disappointed.
Heavy.
All right, in our remaining time, you've nailed a few things last week, but how could we just intentionally create a worrisome retirement? What should savers do if they really want to create a lot of worry?
Yeah, we've gone through a few tips last week. Another one I had on here, just go at it alone. There's no sense in paying someone to help. I mean, that could get pretty scary too. I think a good differentiator is that when you're young, you may not need a financial advisor, speaking frankly.
Especially if you're saving money.
Yeah, if you're just putting money into a 401k or maybe a Roth IRA on the side, you have your life insurance, so forth, you probably don't need to pay somebody 1.25% or in our case, 0.8% per year to manage your money. It's really about just stocking it away and letting it grow. When you get to retirement, though, there is a lot more problems that come up. So making sure that you're, not getting into higher tax brackets when you start taking money out of 401ks. When you get to this RMD age at 73 now, I mean, things start getting a little weird there, knowing how much to take out. when to draw Social Security, whether you should take money out of certain accounts or others. There are a ton of different problems that come up in retirement that probably should be handled by someone who is a professional. So I think that's a good tip.
About out of time here. Another tip you got for us?
Well, there's all sorts of things you could do in the younger years. If you start saving late, that's never a good idea if you're not putting any money away. So that's one thing we'll coach, younger clients, or I guess, our clients who have children, on how to save for retirement, where to put money in. We talked a little bit about last week, pensions. Yeah. They're gone. 401ks, you've got to contribute to those if you want to make it to retirement, than anything you can do outside of that. So
how to create a worrisome retirement, in conclusion there, is, especially young people, is just start saving. I know I've studied under a guy named Bob Castellone. He said if you'll start with 15%, set that aside, and then do that even when your income goes up, you'll have more money than you know what to do with. Oh, so that's good stuff, Wes. Aaron said we got to take a quick break. We will be right back with more information, folks. Hang in there.
Hello there, Wes Walker with Tony Walker Financial. I'm Tony's nephew and one of the fiduciaries on staff, and wanted to take a moment with one question that I get asked quite frequently is, how much risk is in my 401k, or how much could this thing lose? One good thing to note is that a 401k plan is essentially just an investment vehicle. It doesn't really matter what vehicle it is. It could be a 401k, an IRA, a Roth IRA, a 457 plan, any of these vehicles. What matters is the cargo that goes inside the vehicles. So to determine how much risk is really within your 401k plan, it's important to know what you're invested in. Your plan administrator should be able to give you a document that shows what your asset allocation mix is, how much you have in stocks versus how much you have in bonds. And then someone like Tony Walker Financial, a fiduciary, would be able to determine if that's suitable for your risk tolerance as well as your stage in the game, particularly if you're drawing close to retirement. Keep that in mind as you're getting toward retirement, and be sure to consult with somebody who is a fiduciary that might help you understand exactly what's in your 401k plan.
Did you realize that if you have more than $250,000 in retirement assets, the government could tax as much as 40% of it when you go to take it out? And with current tax rates set to expire in 2025, the taxes you will owe on your 401k could climb even higher. Don't wait until 2025 to see how much Uncle Sam will take of your money. Get a game plan by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Recently, an 80-year-old widow, along with all of her adult children, came into our offices to review her situation and get a second opinion from myself. When I asked what brought them in to see me, she had mentioned that her husband had recently passed away. And the problem was getting everything organized so that they could understand what she was going to do with all this money. You see, he had made the mistake a lot of people make. He was very good at investing, and he took control of the household finances, and he thought it was best to spread out everything all over God's creation, because he'd always been taught you never want to have all your things in one basket, which is true. But he also forgot to realize that you have to have everything under one roof. And this is why this widow was panicking. So our goal, our job, was to bring all of this in to Tony Walker Financial, because we can handle it all. And that way, now when she passes away, it's going to happen. When she passes away, her adult children are going to know exactly what she's got and exactly how those assets are going to pass. Plus, we're going to be able to eliminate a lot of duplication of accounts that her husband tried to create with all these different financial institutions. So let's take a look at the one roof philosophy. And again, remember, this show is dedicated to savers. We are not working with investors and speculators. We're working with clients who are more concerned with the return of their money than on it. Somebody that wants a retirement planning firm to take care of everything, handle everything. That's why we call it the worry-free retirement process. Now, in general, this is general, these are the four main products that we might use for our clients. And in general, these are the safest products one can use. Remember, we're not out here trying to grow your money at all costs. We're trying to use and enjoy this money at the least amount of cost before it's too late. So let's take a look at the first one over there. These are bank products. And yes, through Tony Walker Financial, through our Charles Schwab platform, believe it or not, we can get bank products
through Charles Schwab. Now, what are those main bank products we use for our clients? Well, those would be number one, certificates of deposit, as well as money market accounts. Now, we might use money market accounts in situations where people say, hey, Tony, I've got $100,000, but I want to keep this liquid because, maybe I've got a house I'm going to be buying or remodeling or kids might need it or whatever that is. We can use the money market accounts. Somebody might say, well, I want it safe and I want a good interest rate. And I don't mind tying up the money for a year or two, but I want it safe. Well, there we might use a certificate of deposit, and we'll shop those all over God's creation also through Schwab because we can get a multitude of CDs through different banks. So those products we can get. The number two safe product, government bonds. Now, bonds haven't done as well because interest rates have spiked, but over time, usually government bonds do great. And of course, they're backed by the full faith of the U.S. government. So in general, government bonds are very, very safe when we use those religiously within the process. Number three, I love these. These are insurance contracts, namely annuities, and we only use fixed annuities. We do not use variable annuities. And also, believe it or not, life insurance contracts, and in some cases, long-term care insurance contracts. So again, annuities, life insurance, and long-term care, they're actually contracts. They're not investments, and that's why we like those types of products, because the insurance company issuing those contracts is backing them to make sure that they are paid to our clients when they need the money. And then the fourth type, this can get a little more risky, but generally these are dividend-oriented ETFs, which stands for exchange-traded funds. Now these are very, very low cost. Again, we get these through Charles Schwab, and again, you can lose some money with these, but over time, these have proved to be fairly safe. In the long run, they make pretty good money, and they pay a dividend in most cases, meaning even though you're not taking the principal, they're paying out dividends, kind of like interest, to our clients. So these are the four types of products we use at Tony Walker Financial. We would be happy to go over these products at any time with you to see how they would fit within your situation. So it's interesting that I created this graphic here. This helps explain the difference between safety and risk. You see, with the worry-free retirement process, we're okay with both, but most of our clients who are savers would rather have more safety of principal than taking a lot of risk. So let's go over to the whiteboard. I'm going to break this down and tie this into our philosophy of keeping your money safe and also how our income software reflects that. Let's take a look at that right now. So it's interesting as we think about this idea of risk and safety and the four main products we use for safekeeping of our clients' money, kind of draw a dividing line here. These really are two different worlds. There's a world of safety, which is really protection of principal, that's the guaranteed world, and then risk, which is really meant for growth, which is creating uncertainty. The money can go up, it can go down, that would be growth. Now, of the four products we use a lot, actually on the safe side, would be the bank products that we offer. There would be the insurance contracts, and of course the government bonds. Okay, they would fall on this side. Now, of the risk, remember the four products, actually the dividend-oriented ETFs would go over here. Also stocks would go over here, which we can offer through Charles Schwab. Other more risky ETFs, and then even long-term bonds would go over here. These would be the main products we also offer at Tony Walker Financial. So as you can see, we're well versed in all these products. We're more than just annuities. I know a lot of people out there know that we're known around the country for our prowess, if you will, in annuities, but we've got over 2,400 accounts with Charles Schwab. That would be on this side over here, plus the bank products, with over $260 million that is non-annuities. So folks, it doesn't really matter to us. We're going to work the game plan, assuming you're a saver, and set these products up. So, but I like to ask this question, though, and this really helps me understand the mind of a saver. If I've got somebody that says, Tony, I want no risk, versus somebody that says I might want some risk. And if you would, put up full screen here, Derek. This is a page out of our income planning software that we share with all of our prospective clients who are looking to work with us. Notice long term, even though this could be in a Schwab account, we're only assuming a growth rate of 3%. So my question to people is, Mr. Jones or Mrs. Jones, if all we could earn you is 3% long-term on your money, that's all we could earn you. Well, hopefully it'll be more, but let's just stay with that. But you could sleep better at night, something we call...
Sleep insurance!
Then would you want all of your money over here or some of it over there? If somebody says, oh, wait a minute, if you could earn me 3% and that would accomplish all my goals and objectives, well, shoot, just keep it all over there and keep it safe, Tony. I don't even want to take a chance on any growth. But then another person might look at that and say, well, yeah, I'm okay with that, Tony, but I'm okay having some of my money over here, maybe 20 to 40%, and maybe only 60 to 80 over here. We can do that. Again, the more potential growth you have, you're going to have to come over here to get it versus the more safety. And that's the beauty of designing an income plan around your personal needs. Folks, we've done this for years. In fact, I've overseen more than 5,000 written game plans. We know this world very well. If you're a saver, here's what I would suggest you do right now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. There's lots of resources on there. But one of the things you might want to do is order this particular book called The Worry-Free Retirement Process. This book will go into great detail of exactly how these different products work and then help you get a better understanding of which products might be right for you and your situation. So do it now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or if we can be of any help and the internet's not your thing, just call us at 877-499-9255. Wondering how much money you'll need to retire? Probably a lot less than you think. I'm retirement specialist Tony Walker, and for the past 36 years, I've helped thousands of savers determine when to retire and how much money they'll need in retirement, and I can help you too. To meet in person at no cost or obligation, let me invite you to log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call the toll-free number on your screen. We look forward to talking with you soon. Having worked in the retirement planning field for 40 years, I know it's not just about how much money you've saved for retirement, but making sure you one day don't run out of money. That's where mailbox money comes in.
Mailbox money.
A reliable, lifelong income, much like the pension plans from the past. If you're interested in turning your 401k into mailbox money, let's talk. Just set up your free 10-minute phone call with myself at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Occasionally, a prospective client professing to watch this show on a regular basis will allude to this segment, What the Bible Has to Say About Money. Now, while they usually don't come right out and say it, I know what they're probably thinking. Tony, while I enjoy your Bible segment on money each week, what in the world does this really have to do with a worry-free retirement? My response? Everything. You see, to me, as I've watched in real time the lives of thousands of savers play out in retirement, to be worry-free, you'll need to look at money from three different directions. I call it man, money, and God. Whether you're a believer in God's Word or at least open to what it says regarding life and money and what will become of all of our stuff when we die, in my humble opinion, this three-pronged approach to a worry-free retirement is the only way to make sense of it all, which is why I have written extensively on all three components, so let's take a look. The first leg of this three-pronged approach is having an understanding of man, that is, our humanness and what makes us tick. The psychology, if you will, wrapped up in the decisions and emotions that come with money and what to do with it. Armed with a degree in psychology, this notion of trying to understand how we are all wired differently when it comes to money led me to write this book called The Three Personalities of Money, which is a summary of countless interviews I conducted with savers, as well as the creation of a free 5-minute quiz anyone can take to confirm one's financial personality. This free quiz can be taken by simply logging on to the number 3personalities.com. The second book I wrote focuses on the money side of things. It's called The Worry-Free Retirement Process. It's a summary of my life's work with savers, which goes into detail outlining our 5-step proprietary process, a process I created since there was none like it in the industry. The goal of this book is to share the process of how we at Tony Walker Financial, as an independent retirement planning firm, handle our clients' money not just when they retire, but all the way through retirement. And finally, the third approach on maintaining balance in one's life and remaining worry-free in retirement is a book fueled by God's Word and in my meeting with nearly 20,000 savers, a book that takes a deeper dive into the true purpose of money and what happens to it when we die, and it's called Live Well, Die Broke. It's a book that gets its mojo from a Bible constantly reminding us of two important truths about money and what we eventually will do with it. Truth number one, as the old saying goes, you really can't take it with you. In other words, in the end, whether you have a little or a lot, we all die broke. The second truth, which has also been confirmed by yours truly as I watch the lives of thousands of savers play out, is this. Most people make the mistake of waiting too long to spend and enjoy this money, which is why we encourage our clients to understand something I created called the 3 halves of life, which illustrates the reality that as you move through what's called the second half of life, you will usually begin to spend less and less money, not more. The point being, you won't need as much money in retirement as you think. And who gets the credit for giving me the personal vision and understanding of this 3-pronged approach to a worry-free retirement? That's right, God, and the wonderful good news and wisdom contained throughout His Word found in the Bible. So to answer the original question of why I speak about the Bible and what it says about money, well, if I can still do it, I'm always going to do it. And that is take a few minutes each show to give God the credit for not only what He's done for me and my company, but also for our clients. But it's also to give Him the glory for the grace to make it happen in the first place. Remember, this money was never meant to be worried over, and as Jesus reminds us, worrying about it won't make things better. No, the key to a worry-free retirement is having in place a faith in God and a well-thought-out game plan that you can follow along this journey we call retirement. And that's some good news you and I can take to the bank. Amen? Well, how about you? Assuming you are a saver, do you currently have in your possession a written game plan crafted by someone who truly understands you, your money, and what you'd like to do with this money before it's too late? Well, if not, why not? My name is Tony Walker, and for the past 40 years, I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to see if I can help you too. To get started on your journey to a worry-free retirement is easy, and best of all, it's free. In fact, we call the first step of this process the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. And here's how easy it is for you and I to speak by phone about you and your personal situation. You can either go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click on that Let's Get Started button. If you do that, it's going to be taken to our office, and we will contact you to set up a free phone call at your convenience where you and I will speak by phone. Or you can simply call 1-877-499-9255 24/7. That's right, even if our offices are not open, that's going to go to a live operator. They will pass that information off to us, and we will call you first thing Monday morning. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or call the toll-free number on your screen. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program, and we look forward to seeing you next week on the Worry-Free Retirement. But between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free and make it a good one.